Because here's the deal that you're being made. All right, the deal that you're being made is this. The average life expectancy is about 78 years, okay, give or take. 78 years. And in 78 years, you are pretty much going to work from, most people are going to work from, like, say, 20. And right now, the retirement age is like 67. But by the time most people who are in their 50s now or so, or younger, by the time they get to that age, it'll be like 70. So you're going to work for at least 50 years, okay? 50 years of your life to get to, quote unquote, retire in 8 years, okay? And, I don't know about you guys, but when it comes down to me, working for 50 years so that I can relax for 8 doesn't necessarily seem like a good deal, right? But let's assume you do make that deal. Now let's look at what you're doing with your life. Are you doing something with your life that actually means something to you? Because I always ask that question for people, are you living the life that you want? Is this the life that you planned? Because we all had an idea of what we wanted to do with our lives, okay? We all had an idea of what we thought our life could be, should be, what we wanted. I always make the analogy of you're going to a restaurant, and you have a particular meal in mind when you go to this restaurant, go to said restaurant, right? And when you go, as opposed to getting the meal you ordered, the meal you wanted, somebody else selects something for you. All right? Are you going to be satisfied with that? Are you going to enjoy that just as much as you would have enjoyed what you actually picked? Or are you going to be sitting there thinking to yourself, but this isn't what I wanted that one? That's a lot of people's lives. And what happens is that a lot of people, when they do not get the life they want, they convince themselves that they're happy with that. They convince themselves that they're okay with the idea that they did not get the life that they wanted, okay? And that what they have now is okay. And they go on with their lives. But you see, here's the thing. You cannot, the soul, all right, cannot be happy with compromise. All right? Your soul, your inner being knows when you're being compromised. It knows what you really wanted. It knows what you set out to have. And it knows that what you're compromising, what you're settling for is not what you wanted to have. And as long as your soul knows that, you will never find true happiness, satisfaction. And people try to get it by going out and buying trinkets, buying this, buying that, to fill the voids. And basically what you're basically doing is you're actually digging your hole deeper. Okay? You're digging your hole deeper, because that's exactly what our society wants you to do. Our society wants you to get more and more in debt. Our society wants you to buy more and more stuff. Our society wants you to drown your sorrows in all the materialistic things that it has to offer you, as opposed to the true satisfaction of your soul. Your soul cannot invest itself in a compromise. It cannot. You cannot be fully vested in any compromise of a lifestyle. Okay? So the question is, when are you going to change, and are you going to change? And I always approach it from this angle, because I tell people this all the time. You cannot possibly be happy. You cannot possibly be fulfilled. You cannot possibly reach your fullest potential if you're not healthy, mentally and physically. Okay? Especially the mental part, right? Because the mental part is way more important than the physical part. Because if you're physically healthy and not mentally healthy, sooner rather than later, that mental unhealth is going to compromise the physical. And that's why I always tell people about, wellness from mind, body, and soul. You have to be well in the mind. You have to set yourself out to be well in mind, well balanced, well rounded, spiritually, intellectually, socially. All right. I see so many people that take pride in, I don't talk to people. That's not necessarily a very well balanced person if you can't get along with people. All right. That doesn't mean you have to agree with what everybody says, but you have to be able to get along with people. Okay. And if you can't get along with anyone, then usually you're the problem. All right? Mental and physical health are very important in the pursuit of this happier life, in this pursuit of this better existence. And if you cannot be mentally happy, if you cannot be there, then that's a bigger problem than anything. It's a huge problem, as a matter of fact. Okay? It's a very, very big problem. Okay? And so, it's something to think about. All right? It's something to think about, because as you look at your life, it doesn't get better the harder you try at doing something that's not important. Like when I was talking to my friend, we were talking about just even the idea of retirement, right? For me, retirement is not even a thing. I don't think about retirement. All right? I don't think about retirement. Retirement is not even an idea for me. Okay? The reason why retirement is not an idea for me is because I envision myself working on something that is bigger than me. And that's one of the things I always tell people. Try to invest yourself in something that is bigger than you. All right? Because that will give you energy. And as long as I have breath in my body, I will be doing that. What is retirement? Sitting back and doing nothing? That's actually how you die. Okay? What actually keeps people young is new ideas, new experiences, new goals, aspirations. If you're constantly being bombarded with the new, with change, and change in a good way, new thoughts, new ideas, new vision, it's very easy to remain young. But when you're sitting there and you're doing the same old thing, life gets very mundane. It's like I always look at people who I want to retire. And a lot of times, by the time people even work themselves to death to get to the point of retirement, they don't have any energy. Why? Because they've exhausted their health. They're not even there mentally. They're exhausted mentally, and even worse, physically. You can't stay up. You can't enjoy stuff. You don't have the physical capacity to do anything. Of course you're retired. You're broken. But when you guard your health mentally and physically, you're actually pursuing something that means something to you. And let's get something straight. It's not always going to be about money. Don't get me wrong. If you do it well, you will make money doing it. All right? But don't let money be the motivating factor, because when money is your motivating factor, you will miss out on a lot of good things in life. Because a lot of good things, some of the greatest experiences in your life actually are going to come with no paycheck, especially in the beginning. You're going to have to do a lot of stuff really well for free for a long time before people decide to pay you. But the gratification that you get from it, the life that you build because of it, when you actually are investing yourself in something bigger, something that's meaningful to you, outweighs any paycheck that you're going to get. Because that person who has that paycheck is always still looking to buy a life, buy happiness, buy fulfillment, buy that feeling that you get every single day by pursuing something that you truly want. All right? Something to think about, guys. If you're not living the life you want, what are you waiting for? That's number one. Number two, are you expecting that the job that you're going to work for 50 years that means absolutely nothing to you is going to make you happy? I mean, it's one thing if you're working for a cause and that is your cause. You got to make sure that's your cause, right? Then yeah. And if it's making a difference, then okay. But if you're not one of those lucky few, and you have the life, you have the capacity, you have the health, you have the mental strength, it would be my advice that you take a second look at what you're doing with your life and the time you're spending, the time you're investing in something that means nothing to you, and invest it a little differently. Okay? Apply your time a little bit differently. Because nothing is worse than going to a restaurant and not getting what you want and having to eat something that you did not order, you did not want. Now take a look at that and put it towards your life and say, is that what I want to do with my life every single day? Eat a life, live a life that I do not want, never wanted. And then you have to walk around and pretend to be happy with it. You get a dessert with it though. And even the dessert is picked for you. You know, I look around, you see people doing it all the time. Everybody, for the life of me, I laugh, right? Because I look at people and everybody dresses the same. Everybody talks the same. Even when guys retire, when people retire, right? You see signature things, you know. Every guy wants to have a Porsche. Every guy wants to go and play golf. When did everybody get so interested in golf? But you see certain levels of programming, and people just do things mindlessly because everyone else is doing it. You ever thought of just doing something on your own, chasing your own dreams, your own passions? You know, think about that. Terry Harris says, as long as you have children, you'll always be a parent. I'm sorry, but that's a horrible, horrible way of looking at life, because if you were a good enough parent, you wouldn't have to be a parent to adults. Seriously. All right? We should raise our children well enough so where when they become adults, that they are adults. As a matter of fact, maybe they become assets and not continuous liabilities. Okay? That's a thought. If we raise our children to always be our children, well then, think about that. You've raised an adult who is probably married to someone who is still a child. And we wonder why we have the situations we have right now with relationships. Why? Because they weren't raised right. They were raised as petulant kids who get everything they want, who can always run back to mom or dad for something. You get to a certain age, nah, don't come back here. All right? Don't come back here. Okay? Learn how to solve your problems. I might help you with the mentality, but after a certain point in time, you're going to have to take the training wheels off. And the earlier you do that, the better. But babying your children so they always stay close to you is a recipe for disaster, not only for them, but for you as well, because you never get to live your life. And I know it sounds great. Oh, once you're a parent, you're always a parent, you know, wearing the cloak of super mom or super dad or whatever like that. But that cloak of super mom and super dad also means super failure as a parent. Your children should be self-sufficient. Your children should be adults. Okay? You should teach your children how to figure it out. Hopefully you had to figure it out, unless you're a child yourself who still runs back to their parents. You know, something to think about.